Welcome to another episode of the Completely Cricket Podcast, hosted by myself, Avinash Larson, and Zaid Ahmed. The big news this week in the cricketing world is the IPL final. It was just yesterday. It was a pretty decent match, but it was pretty inevitable. Gujarat Titans were pretty much destined to win from ball one. We'll talk about that later as well. But as well as that, we're going to look at the IPL team, the tournament that we've created. We've created our own teams, and we're going to compare them and look at who we've included. There are some obvious inclusions, including Jos Butler, but there are some differences. And then we're also going to look at the best young bowler and batsman. Each we have our own player, and then they're not the same, they're different. Then we will go on to the second segment where we're going to look at English cricket as usual, but this time we're going to focus on one key player, England batsman who scored 10 50s in 11 innings, also known as Harry Brook. We're going to spend some time talking about what makes him so good and whether he can push himself into the England test team, or will he, even in this amazing run of form, will he still just be an outsider of the test squad? All right, without further ado, let's get started. So, IPL finals. Zaid, can you give us a rundown of actually what happened?
Yeah, so Rajasthan Royals, they batted first, and they in their 20 overs they didn't really get going, and they got to 130 for 9 in their 20 overs, so it wasn't really a big total. And also, I think they were around 70 after the first 10, so they weren't looking too bad. But the last 10, the Gujarat Titans, their bowling really pushed it to the wire. And then Gujarat Titans, to be fair, they really, they looked pretty comfortable throughout. They didn't really take too many risks because they didn't really need to, and they ended up chasing it down with 11 balls to spare. So pretty comfortable win. And Gujarat Titans, they win on their first season into the IPL.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just there was a lot of talk with the mega auction just before. Gujarat and Lucknow, the two new teams getting their picks. And Gujarat, everyone knew had Rashid Khan. They picked Hardik Pandya and one other, and the three picks were very good players. I think it was Shubman Gill, but those three, their three picks were very strong, so they would always look like a good team. But no one expected them to dominate the IPL in the way they have. So that's another thing. I think the downfall of Rajasthan Royals, everyone knew it was sort of dependent upon Jos Butler. I think he scored around 30 runs, not very quickly. I think it was like 36 or 30 or something along the lines of that. So it wasn't the most quick, but in the end, without Jos Butler, they just completely collapsed. The rest, no other bats really got into any good nick and scored any runs. There were wickets lost at key intervals, which meant that their progress was always hampered. 70 off the first 10, it seems pretty good, but the next you expect to get around 100 off the next 10, but they only scored 60. So that's pretty much their downfall. There wasn't really too much to look at the IPL final because it wasn't a very, it was not one of a typical final where it's, go down to last over, last ball, but it was still a good match anyway. So our main content of this segment is going to be the IPL 2022 team, the tournament. Me and Zaid have created our own teams where you can include any player who's played in the IPL this season, and we put it in order from 1 to 11. Zaid, do you want to start with yours? Say from 1 to 11.
Yeah, so my opening batsmen, I've got Jos Butler and David Warner. Then at 3, I've got KL Rahul. Number 4, I put Hardik Pandya as my captain. Then number 5, David Miller. 6, Dinesh Karthik as my keeper. Then 7, Rashid Khan. 8, Wanindu Hasaranga. 9, Kakisa Rabada. 10, Umar Malik. And 11, Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah, so I think it's best to start off with batting. Top 4 we can look at. So you have Jos Butler, David Warner, KL Rahul, Hardik Pandya. Oh God, I just realized I forgot to say my own squad. Well, my top 4 is Jos Butler, KL Rahul, Quinton de Kock, and Hardik Pandya. So the difference between both of our top 4s is 2 and 3. So your number 2 is David Warner, mine's KL Rahul. Your 3 is KL Rahul, and mine's Quinton de Kock. David Warner, start of the season wasn't look very good. Didn't come into the IPL with good form. He got better as it went. Well, why would you include him over Quinton de Kock? Why not Quinton de Kock, who's like 3rd top run scorer, 140 not out of 70? Why would you include David Warner?
I wanted to have a left-hand, right-hand combination. That's my first reason to go with a left-hander. So you'd think it'd either be David Warner or Quinton de Kock. Then I thought, well, if I put Quinton de Kock, then I'm thinking like KL Rahul. He's not exactly a number 3 player. Neither is Quinton de Kock. They're both really open batsmen. Now I have put KL Rahul at number 3 because I think he's more of a number 3 player than Quinton de Kock. And also I think David Warner, he's looked pretty good. He started off okay. Yeah, he started off a little bit dodgy, but then as he went through the season, he improved much more. He had in the middle there, he had an amazing few matches, amazing partnerships with Prithvi Shaw, where Delhi, they took away some games pretty comfortably with the bat. So now I've gone with David Warner there. I think Quinton de Kock, he's a very good player, obviously, but for me, I think David Warner, I want him as my opening batsman because I think he's just like, for me, more complete T20 player.
Yeah, he does. David Warner, Quinton de Kock's obviously pretty experienced. He's played the IPL, he's played for South Africa a lot, but David Warner's the more experienced batsman. Honestly, I still do think that with my batting order, Jos Butler, Rahul, I'm pretty sure one of them is going to get out pretty early in most matches. Let's just say Jos Butler maintains his forms. It's unlikely to be him. If Rahul gets out pretty early, Quinton de Kock basically takes over the role of an opener, which is not, he's there, that's fine. And even if they do make a good 50, 75 run partnership up top, Quinton de Kock can come in, and Quinton de Kock has shown that he could like powerfully hit, and he doesn't need too many balls to set in. He's not like a typical opener going like a run of all first 10 balls and then smack. He can start straight. So I think guys, mine's it's a pretty attacking top four as well. Like, it can, collapse. Quinton de Kock, the difference between Quinton de Kock and Rahul is that Rahul's had quite a few more not outs, and Quinton de Kock has got out cheaply before, whereas Rahul less likely to get out cheaply. So, but yeah, it's pretty similar anyways. It's got a lot of firepower. We've both got left armers. So Hardik Pandya number 4. Zaid, middle order. You've got David Miller, Dinesh Karthik, Rashid Khan. Mine is David Miller, Dinesh Karthik, Rashid Khan. If you look at Dinesh Karthik and his sort of resurgence to form after being like 2019 World Cup, playing a couple of matches but mainly being left out of the India ODI team, not really being around the India international setup. What do you think his future hopes look like internationally?
Well, I think after this IPL, India selectors will definitely be looking at him and thinking, well, he's done so well in the IPL, especially coming in at like in that middle order, coming in last 5-10 overs and absolutely giving it a big whack and getting loads of runs, just finishing it off really. And I think India will look at that, and he could be like another MS Dhoni coming through the ranks. And obviously, he's got loads of experience. Obviously, he's not young. It would be a little bit late to enter India now, but still, we've seen he wants to go back to India. He wants to play. He wants to play for his country, obviously. And I think as a batsman, definitely, I think he can get into the Indian setup and sort of repeat what Dhoni used to do, just finish the game off. And as a keeper, I think he would want a bit more work. Obviously, I don't think he's as good as Dhoni. But as a keeper, he's pretty good. He obviously sets really high standards, but it's just sometimes it's keeping a little bit off. But I think definitely as an all-round player, all his experience, I think he can definitely has some future in the Indian team.
Yeah, he is 36 at the moment, so it's not a long term. It could be a short-term successor. Him, Rishabh Pant, both keepers, both explosive batsmen, could be like your middle order. And then once he retires, Rishabh Pant could take over the full mantle. I think there's opportunity there. Another key player, I think, Rashid Khan. You could see, it wouldn't really be fair. With most people's standards, you'd say he'd had an amazing season. By his own standards, maybe not as good, but I think his economy has been as low as ever. Wickets haven't come as free flow as normal. Zaid, would you say that he should be worried by any of his performances, or do you think it's okay? It's just it's just a season. His economy's been good. Just look for international cricket and look be confident with his performances this IPL.
Yeah, I don't think he should be worried at all, really. He's played, I think, 16 games. He got around 19 wickets. That's still pretty good. And I think, I think his main role, especially this year, has been to, come in those middle overs straight after the power play and not let the batsman get off the hook and just make sure you're not giving away too many runs. Because I think, the main job for any bowler in the power play is to take wickets. You don't need to worry too much about runs. Obviously, ideal situation, restricting runs. In the power play, I think the main job is to take wickets. And in the middle overs, I think batsmen they're going to be it's going to be middle order batsmen who can have lots of firepower. So I think mainly in the middle overs, it's going to be really to restrict runs. And the last few overs, obviously, it's going to be pretty bit of both three, death bowling. That's a different story. But I think Rashid Khan coming in the middle overs, I think he doesn't need to be worried at all. I think because he's been doing really well. His economy's been really good. So I think he's doing his job. Obviously, it'd be great if he can get some more wickets when he goes back to Afghanistan, for example, or plays other franchises. So I don't think he should be worried, but ideal situation, he'd want a few more wickets.
Yeah, I think his versatility is what makes him such a good asset. He could easily bowl death overs, with his skill. You wouldn't expect a leg spinner to bowl death overs, but he can. He can bowl middle overs, control things, and take a couple of wickets. And he can also even bowl in the power play. If Gujarat's main bowlers starting to get smashed, I would put him as a I'd put him in the top power play overs just to keep it control on things, just to keep the lid closed. And I think that's what makes him so effective. But yeah, let's go on to proper bowlers now, because we classify Rashid Khan as an all-rounder. With his batting exploits this season have been pretty good, actually. He scored quite I think a strike rate of 200 this season, which is pretty impressive. So 8, 9, 10, 11. For yourself, it is Wanindu Hasaranga, Kahisa Rabada, Umran Malik, Jasprit Bumrah. Me is Wanindu Hasaranga, Kahisa Rabada, Harshal Patel, and Jasprit Bumrah. So the main difference here, well, the only difference, is Harshal Patel versus Umran Malik. Everyone knows how fast Umran Malik is, but then also people know how expensive he is. He's probably been a bit less expensive this IPL, but still going at 9 runs and over throughout the entire IPL. So do you think that, by putting him in your team, are you risking, losing control as a bowling attack? Because, you might have Rashid Khan bowling very well, but then if you have someone, Umran Malik, get slogged, it just sort of loses the pressure on the batsman, essentially.
Well, no, I don't think so, because if we look at the rest of my bowling attack, we've got Rashid Khan, who's obviously very economical, as we just talked about. Wanindu Hasaranga, who picks up wickets, and also, his economy's pretty decent. Kahisa Rabada, we all know him, he's an excellent bowler. He gets wickets, his economy's great. And Jasprit Bumrah, he opens bowling, bowls death overs. He also picks up wickets, and often his economy's amazing. So I think if that's the case with the other few bowlers, their economy is pretty good, and they're all picking up wickets. Then Umran Malik, he can come in and just just maybe straight off the power play, for example, with Rashid Khan, maybe, and come in and even if he gets hit for 9, 10 over, that's not going to hurt too much, I think, because everyone else is bowling pretty economical. Because if you think about it, like 4 overs, let's say he bowls 3 or 4 overs, let's say he gets hit for 30 runs, 40 runs, then the rest of the bowlers, they're not going to be hit for much. So I think from Malik, rough some batsmen up with his pace and then take some wickets. So I think, I don't think it would be a bit of a problem with his economy.
Fair enough, yeah. I went down the route of looking at control, because with Kahisa Rabada, you do have a pretty express pace bowler, and Jasprit Bumrah could easily bowl 140 miles an hour plus. So I thought, why not just keep it a bit more? Harshal Patel, looking at his economy, was something around like 7.5, which is a pretty good economy for pace bowler. May not bring the express pace, but I think I've got Kahisa Rabada to rely on, and Jasprit Bumrah as well. But yeah, that's it for our squads, because there's nothing much of a difference. Overall, I think the key trends, obviously, Jos Butler opening, KL Rahul's been then Hardik Pandya as captain. We haven't spoken about him much, but bowling exploits, especially in the final, I think it was 3 for 17. His figures were best figures of his team, and then batting wise, he also helps out. There's things are something in the 30s, so it shows his all round ability. And him batting at 4 in comparison to batting like 6, 7 for Mumbai last season, it's shown a big difference. Dinesh Karthik's been in both our teams. David Miller, some finishing abilities just really propelled Gujarat. Without him, I think this is his best season so far in the IPL, in terms of the average that he scored and the amount of runs he scored as well. So that's just impressive. They're our main thing. And Wanindu Hasaranga as well. Haven't really talked about him, but his leg spin, his googly as well, been pretty unpickable. He's taken a good 20 wickets, 26 wickets this IPL. So next we're going to go on to our IPL best young bowler. So when we mean young, we mean 24 and under, and also uncapped at international level. Just to, obviously if it's capped at international level, they have a bit of extra experience. So we just want to focus on uncapped players. So my pick was Umran Malik. Your pick was Mukesh Chowdhury. The two different type of bowlers. One's Umran Malik, a right arm, very fast, explosive, 150-kilometer-an-hour bowler. But then Mukesh Chowdhury, an opening bowler, more 135, maybe 140, left arm, also swings it a bit. What makes Mukesh Chowdhury so effective this season? He's taken, I think, something along the lines of like 15 wickets this season. And what made him that effective though? Why did batsmen didn't want to face him?
Well, I think he's taken on the role of Deepak Chahar quite well. At the beginning, he struggled a little bit, but then he got into it he started learning, how to bowl like Deepak Chahar. Like it was a big blow for Chennai when they found out, Chahar can't play. But I think Mukesh Chowdhury, just left arm as he's bowling, beautiful line and length. I really enjoy watching him. Young bowler, and I just think like he's got the opportunity, because if Deepak Chahar was there, I don't think he would have been playing. So he's got the opportunity, and he's grabbed the opportunity with two hands, and I think is bowling. He gets lots of swing. He's basically just like the opposite. No, I think it's just kind of like the same as Deepak Chahar, just left-handed. So I think he's really read bowling well, line length, swing really good. I think that's what you want at the top, really. You don't want batsmen freeing their arms, and that's what I think Mukesh Chowdhury is doing really well. If he can keep that consistency up, and I think he'll be looking for India next few years. He'll be looking looking at an international level, continuing his experience. So I think he's a really good bowler. I'm excited to see him continue on his career.
Yeah, I think two common things about both our bowlers. Obviously, they're young bowlers, they've got time to work on this, but it's their economy rates. Umar Malik going just above 9, Mukesh Chowdhury 9.3, some of the most expensive, like the top 20 wicket takers. So they are quite expensive bowlers, but obviously that comes with experience. And if they can regularly play in the IPL, they can work on that. And a lot of it's just with Mukesh Chowdhury, I think it's just too many balls that were like half trackers sat up and got hit. But yeah, there's stuff to work on. There's two very good bowlers. I think Mukesh Chowdhury, Deepak Chahar next season could be really effective. Two really controlled bowlers. If they can like keep proceedings tight but take wickets as well, I think the CSK could actually be looking, in terms of bowling wise, could be one of the best bowling teams. And also with Josh Hazlewood being swapped to RCB, they need that type of bowler who can just hit a good length as well. So best young batsman, 24 and under as well, uncapped at international level. Zaid, who's your pick?
I've gone with Daryl Brevis. He's a really exciting player. Often people call him, young AB de Villiers. So he's a really exciting player, playing really well for Mumbai. You'll be interested to see how he plays for South Africa soon.
Yeah, mine was Tilak Verma. It's pretty funny because both the two Mumbai Indian players, but Mumbai Indians finished 10th. It shows they had the two highlights in the season. Del Brevis, you said he's had a pretty good season. He's not, honestly, he hasn't scored that many runs, like around 180 runs in comparison to Tilak Verma, who scored nearly 400 runs, second most run scorer for Mumbai Indians. Would you still say though that do you think if he's really talented and good, do you think he should be coming up more higher up the order, or do you think his position is good at the currently, so around like 6?
I think he's playing with people much older than him, with much more experience. He's only 19 or something. And I think, as he gets older, he'll be looking to, push up that order and come into, number 4, number 3, something like that. And I think, he obviously, he looks up to David de Villiers. And I think, obviously, as he said, he hasn't scored too many runs, but I think that could also be due to the fact that he hasn't actually played that many games. He didn't play the first few games, then Mumbai decided to bring him in. And then last few games, he didn't play. So, he didn't play that many games. So I just think, he didn't score that many runs, but the runs he did score, I think, were really good. So, I think his current position at 6, that's okay for now, that's all right. But, as he gets older, he'll be looking to push up that order, get 5, 4, and eventually 3 perhaps. And, just as he gets older with more experience, he'll definitely do that, I think.
Yeah, no, I think the difference is that Daryl Brevis at the moment looking like a middle order batsman, whereas Tilak has pretty much confirmed himself in the top 4, type batsman. So yeah, they both had good returns for their positions, but we've got to see consistency if you want to get picked for your like respective countries internationally as well. Consistency in the IPL, there's no point being like a one time score runs like Devdutt Padikkal, who scored like 500 runs or something last season, but then not as many this season. You've got to be able to do it consistently, and someone who really shows consistency as a batsman is KL Rahul, who scored like 500 plus in every season last 5-6 seasons, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that's something that these young players need to work on. Anyway, we'll go to looking at Gujarat Titans, and we talked about how they came first place in the IPL. Pretty much, they were comfortably looking first place throughout the entire IPL, except for towards the end where I think Lucknow were first for like a couple of matches. So they've looked pretty confident, and they have pretty much dominated all the matches in the playoffs as well. They've just looked very good. But a lot of people are asking, why them? Why not, Rajasthan? Why not Lucknow? Why not RCB even? Like, what made them so special? So I think we should look at them and look at their players in more detail about what made them win the IPL and win it so strong. So let's start with captaincy. Hardik Pandya as a captain. What do you think are the key elements of his captaincy that helped them win the IPL 2022 title?
Well, every time I see Hardik Pandya, on the side, when his team's batting, he just looks so calm and he just looks like he's enjoying himself, even when maybe they're in a training session or just off the pitch, off the ground, and he's just really just having fun. He's not like that kind of captain. It's still a good thing, but you might have a captain who's just serious at every single point. They want to. They're looking very closely at the match. They're looking, writing points down for their players to see what they can improve on, and doing that literally every 24/7. And that's fine. But I think Hardik Pandya, even better would be what he does. He's just calm. He's just like having fun, enjoying the moment. He's just there to, obviously when he's on the ground. He's fielding. He's a big asset really for Gujarat Titan. He's a great fielder. He's just a really, like, I think he's a really good role model for some of the young players. I think just learning from him. He's cool, he's calm, he's collective. He's got really everything, I think, to be a great captain. I think yeah, he's got lots of experience. I think he's done. It's just like really, his the main thing for me is just how he enjoys cricket. He doesn't play it because he just wants to be serious. He plays it because he enjoys it, and that's really it. And I think that's what really for me has helped Gujarat Titans win the IPL.
Yeah, I think it's a mentality shift as well, with him being in a more position of significance and, captain batting up top. You think that, you'd expect seriousness, but he just plays with his natural, a way of playing, and it's just really affects everyone else, and it makes the whole, team look really connected and very, all go looking in one direction. So that's really helped. Let's look at more technically into bowling. Let's start with bowling, I think. So everyone knows the key components of Gujarat's bowling: Mohammad Shami, Lockie Ferguson, Yash Dayal, Rashid Khan. These are your like key players. In terms of, let's look at some stats. How can we represent Gujarat's performances? I think something that really sums up for me is probably death bowling economy this year. So in all the teams that have played this IPL, Gujarat Titans actually have the lowest economy at the death bowling this season, and it's under 10. It's the only team that's under 10 runs and over. And you might think, oh my god, 10 runs and over, but that's compared to some other teams, that's actually pretty impressive. So if they've got the lowest death economy this season, you could easily say that they're 100% got one of the best bowling attacks, because if they can control teams at the death overs, that means they have a less target for their batsmen to chase. Who do you think would be the key, person who sort of represents that in the bowling attack of Gujarat Titans with a very low death bowling economy?
See, what I think with Gujarat Titans and their bowling attack, I think it's more, often we see teams, they have a good team, but then on the day when they win, it's just one player or two players that really dominate the game. I think with Gujarat Titans, that's not the case. I think it's more kind of like it's a team performance really. Every single game, it's a team performance. In the middle we've got Rashid Khan, but at the death, I think someone like Lockie Ferguson, he's got some excellent change ups. I think he's got lots of pace. I think in the end he stole the fastest ball, fastest delivery from Umar Malik. So he's obviously got some pace as well, and I think he's definitely a key asset for the death. Still, no one's really going to forget that amazing Yorker he bowled, a slow ball Yorker to Jos Butler early in the season. So I think he's definitely a main asset. But overall, I think Gujarat Titans, just a team performance, everything is just everyone chipping in at their own time, and that's really what you want from a team, and that's also a huge reason why Gujarat Titans are winning, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Yeah, and also in that like sort of lower death bowling economy. Excuse me, you've got Azari Joseph as well. Yash Dayal is around there, and Lockie Ferguson, Mohammad Shami. So you've got generally all their bowlers have got low death bowling economies, and that's something really important, because without that, you could just be at risk of allowing batsmen to smash and then score really quickly, and then putting your batsmen under pressure, and they have to chase that total. Also, we talked about death bowling. We need to look at the opposite end of the spectrum, which is power play bowling. And this season, power play wickets have been actually pretty crucial. The nabbing teams early and destroying their batting order, getting through, and restricting them to really low totals. And with Gujarat, you've got bowlers like Mohammad Shami, who's actually taken the most wickets in the power play this year, 11 wickets. That's basically nearly a wicket every single match in the power play. And if you've got 3 bowlers bowling the power play, that's 3 wickets every match. And that's really going to destroy a team in 6 overs if they lose 3 wickets. Lockie Ferguson's taken like 6. Yash Dayal's also taken 5. So you see that they've got some really good power play bowlers. That's really important. How about their batting, Zaid? Who would you say at the death, for example? Who would you say their most significant batsman has been, and how they improved their Gujarat's fortunes this season?
Well, I'm very tempted to say Rashid Khan because I'm a big fan of him. He just he loves his wrist movement. Is amazing. He loves. It's like Hardik Pandya, as I mentioned. He just enjoys the game as well. But for me, I think the main death really hitter for me is David Miller. I think he's really shown what he can do. Even yesterday in the final, he's really anything up there, he just whacks it for 6. And it's really interesting because since 2015, 2016, he has not been at his best at all. He's really been struggling for South Africa, for just in general in cricket. He's really been struggling, and then just this year definitely he's really stepped up his game, and I think his batting has really improved. He's been batting for a long time. He's been finishing off games, so I think he is one of the main batsmen for Gujarat Titans that's helped him win. I think even adding to that, Rashid Khan, he's also been there. He's been playing some shots, and I like to classify him as an all-rounder, as you said. So but for me, the main hitter is probably at the death, David Miller.
Yeah, no, that I think that's fair. In the top 5 most runs scored at the death, you've got David Miller at number 1, nearly 300 runs, and Rahul Tewatia nearly 200 runs. So in that itself, it's 500 runs, which is pretty much the equivalent of around what, three IPL matches worth runs. So of a team scoring, that's quite a lot of runs. It's really significant, and that's helped Gujarat. So all in all, I think Gujarat just generally a very good team. They have the bowling cover, they've got the batting cover, they got a captain, the style of playing is good. They're very calm, even when they're losing, they don't look like they're just going to completely everything to blow up in their face. They look like they could win it. They're intentional ones. So they're just a perfect team. And they've got aspects of the team of like Mumbai Indians of like 2019. You've got CSK of recent. They look at those type of teams. They look like, so Gujarat look like they could easily challenge for another IPL next season. But who knows? There are a lot of teams who are in contention this season. There's probably 6 teams to the very end who are in contention for the top 4 spots. So that shows how it's not one sided. It's not one sided.